Hello, how are you all doing today? My throat is feeling a little bit hoarse. It's fine when I'm up and about, but of a morning and an evening, it is a little bit sore. So I'm not going to be my usual shouty self. I've got a honey lemon and ginger tea that I've just concocted. So I hope you're all doing well. There's all sorts of bugs and things going around, but the sun is finally shining. We're getting some lovely spring type weather finally, and that's what I'm going to be making with you today. I'm going to be doing some lovely floral earrings, which are very spring and summer themed because they're just lovely in colour. They're long, they're dangly, they're really, really pretty. I'm using some gorgeous enamel charms today. You can change these up, of course, if you'd like to make the chain dangles a little bit different. You might not want to include them at all, but we've got 6 lovely colours for you to choose from. So I'll take you down quickly on the mat, and then I will also take you over to the website so you can see what we're doing today. We've got in your kits, we've got some chain. So I'm going to use, I think, about 22 centimetres in total, a pair of ear wires. We've got 2 sizes of jump rings. I've got a 5 by 1 millimetre and I've got a 6 by 1 millimetre. They're outer diameters. I'm using, of course, the 2 lovely flower charms. I'm going to be using 6 pearls, which are 3 millimetre glass pearls, and I'm going to be using some ball pins as well. So a nice straightforward make. I'm just going to make little wrap loops with them. If you prefer, you don't have to do a wrap loop, you can just do a turned loop, but making a wrap loop is going to make it nice and secure, and you can just dangle them on the bottom of your chain. So as you can see, we've got lots of lovely colours for you today, and it's going to be a nice quick make. So I'm going to say good morning to you while you're coming in before I take you over to the Totally Beads website and we can get making. I think I'm going to make one in each colour today because they are a very, very quick make. So good morning to Jackie, how are you doing? Good morning to Rachel, who's in a wet borough. All the sun's here now. I might send it back to you. You're not that far away, are you, Rachel? Good morning to Esther, who's in a sunny Preston. How are you doing? Mina's in as well. She's in a wet Leicester. Good morning to Janice, who's in a sunny Swansea. Good morning to Joanne. She says, good morning, Natalie, and all from a very wet and windy Coventry. I hope you feel better. That drink will help, I swear by it. I feel all right in myself. I suppose, I wasn't sure after I did the telly show at the weekend whether it was just the talking for as long as I did, but no, I don't know. I feel okay in myself, but thank you, Joanne. It has been very, very windy. Really has been windy, but it's blown the clouds away, and it's just nice to have some bright sunshine. Christina's in. She says, good morning all. A bit miserable here in Darlington today. Well, hopefully I can cheer you up, Christine, and the weather won't be too miserable for long. Yes, Janice says it'd be nice for a necklace with a drop. You can, of course, if you want to buy extra of these, you can make yourself a little necklace to match. That's no problem. Jan is in. She says, good morning, Natalie. She also says they look lovely. Thank you very much. I know a few people had already messaged saying, can we get them early? Well, if you ever go on whether you're watching me on my YouTube channel or if you're watching on the Totally Beads YouTube channel, if you go on live, it will have what's scheduled, and you can click on that and it will say there's a little description in the drop down. Click on that and it'll say get your materials here, and that'll take you over to the website. So you should be able to buy in advance if you want to. Good morning to Carol. How are you doing? Pauline's in from a wet morning in Bedfordshire. Susan's in as well, and this is Rex Trion and Sharon Ann Jackson. Hello to you. Good morning. Joanne says it's blown the clouds down here. It must have done, yeah. Right, I'm going to take you over to the website. We are totallybeads.co.uk. We do ship worldwide, but anything you fancy, if you head into the video tutorial section, in the Learn to Make Jewellery page, you can see there's recent ones here, scrolling along the bottom. And there's a main picture on the first window that'll take you into our jewellery making inspiration pages, so you can buy your kits and you can make along with us with exactly what we're making. So there's makes from myself, Natalie, Laura and Kitty, and you can do all sorts of different types of projects, whether you want to work on a bracelet, a pair of earrings, you want to do a stitch necklace, whatever it is. You can see there's loads and loads and loads of goodies there for you. You can also search by type. So you might think, I want to make a necklace or I want to make a bracelet. You can search by bead. So you might think, I want to use a glass pearl or I want to use a gemstone. You can use by technique as well. So you might think, I want to do some threading with tiger tail. I want to work with elastic. So there's all there for you, and there's our faces, so you know who we are and where to find us. So head into this jewellery making section. I'll stop fiddling up and down and making you dizzy. Today is the Tansy floral earrings. Now, I was looking at different names for these, and I think we have possibly used every female name for a flower I could possibly find. And I was like, well, they're like daisies and they're like this. And I was looking at different actual flowers in nature to try and figure out what to call them. And I ended up going with Tansy because that was the closest I could get to it with a unique name. And they are very, very lovely, and they are quite unique. I've not seen these enamel charms anywhere really before. They're very straightforward to do. It's a nice beginner project, and as I say, they're lovely for summer. So we've got the Tansy floral earrings in blue, pink, purple, red, which I think is more of an orangey colour personally, but I suppose it depends what you put with it. I would definitely say it's on the more kind of warmer orangey side. We've also got some white ones, which I haven't put white pearls on the bottom of those. I've actually added in some green ones on the bottom. And then you've got the yellow, which I've gone for those little pearls as well. So each kit that you get is going to make up one pair of earrings, and they are £2.50 per pair of earrings. So you can, if you want to, you can multi-buy, you can change them up, you can add extras in. So you can see here on the blue pair, you're getting your enamel charms, which look like this. You're going to get your chain as well. They're all going to be in a gold champagne kind of finding. So your pins, your chain, your jump rings, your ear wires, they're all going to be gold. And the reason why I've picked that champagne gold colour is because I wanted to match the frame on that beautiful enamel flower charm as well. You can see they've got a little hoop at the top of them, so you can attach that onto a jump ring, and you could pop it on a cord if you wanted to make some necklaces or add them onto a bracelet, whatever you want to do. They're not too large in size. I think they would, you could hang them off a bracelet quite nicely as well. They would make lovely summer jewellery if you wanted to, sell at craft fair or something. I think everybody's just looking for something bright and cheery, and I think this is exactly what this is. So I say you're getting your chain, your jump rings, your earring hooks, your glass pearl beads, which are 3mm in size, and you're getting your head pin. If you want to have a little look what it is that we're making with, then you can see I'm using the cornflower 3mm glass pearl round beads there. And if you wanted to add any extra charms in, you absolutely can. You can just click on here at the bottom, so you can see they've got a beautiful curve to them, beautiful finish on them, lovely bright center, as well as those gorgeous enameled petals. That is the back, that's how it looks too. So if you wanted to add in some extra, you might think, I'm going to buy this pair of Tansy earrings in blue and I'm going to add an extra in here for just £1. You get 2 pieces, so you could pop that on a necklace and that one on a bracelet, have you fancy. So that is the blue. You've got the lovely pink as well. There's a very lovely soft pink colour here. Hopefully you can see that clearly. I'll show you them down on the mat as well. You're getting all the same components that you need to make these earrings, only this time I'm using the rose pink glass pearls, and we've got that lovely pink charm too. I reckon you could make these earrings in about 15 minutes. That's my guess, but obviously everybody's different. You might want to take your time on it. The longest thing is going to be cutting the chain to equal lengths, and again you can change that if you wanted to have them all the same length. You could do, I'd like to stagger it, so I've got one slightly longer from the middle, and doing your wrap loops, which won't take you very long either. This is the lovely purple pear. I'm using the royal purple glass pearl beads, and that's a nice example of the flower. Very I'll show you it again down on the map, but it's got a really lovely deep I refer to it as chocolate box purple. For any of you who are familiar with that very famous confectionery. These are the red. I'll try and show you them down here. If you see this picture, it looks more like an orangey red to me, so I've put them with the tangerine. I don't often use the tangerine, but I love this colour with the enamel, so I'm going to demo with this for you today. Of course, if you wanted to change them up, you might think I'm going to get multiple pairs, and actually I'd really like to put the green glass pearls on the bottom of them. You can do whatever you want. This is just to give you a little bit of inspiration. We've also got the white. So you can see here we've got the lovely white enamel with the little yellow centre, very daisy-like, very pretty. And I've popped them with the green just to give it a little bit of contrast and add that extra splash of colour in there. So they are just called green. They've not got a fancy name on there, and they're your curved flower. So your flowers are 19 millimetres in size, and they just hang very lovely. And lastly, but by no means least, we've got the yellow as well, which would go very nicely with my jumper. These are like a buttercup yellow, really, really lovely, nice bright colours. These also have a white centre. Most of them have a yellow centre, apart from the pink and the yellow, which have got a white centre in the middle of the flower. And I'm using the lemon chiffon in the glass pearl round beads there. So they're your lovely colours. Let me know, which ones do you like the most? Do you have a favourite flower? I love a hydrangea. I'm quite partial to a tulip. I like a cosmos. I like a delphinium. I suppose it's a bit like a gemstone. It depends on the mood. So let me bring this screen back in so we can get down on the mat, and you can see what it is that we're doing. There we go. Come on, move over. There you go. Let me say hello to anyone. Wow. Rex Trion, Sharon and Jackson says, Natalie, I've got 169 pairs of earrings made. That's no small feat, that. Well done. I know you've only got one pair of ears, but apparently when it comes to jewellery, earrings are the most worn and the most changeable jewellery items. A lot of people, myself, I will wear a ring occasionally. It's just usually my wedding ring that I have on. I'll tend to wear the same necklaces, but I don't put a necklace on every day. I do tend to wear earrings every day, and I like to change that up. Not put earrings in today because I figured I might need to model one of these so you can see in terms of length where these ones come from me, on me rather. Let me have a little look. Good morning to Joanne. Who have I missed? Who have I not said hello to? Good morning to Carol. Hello to Judith. Elena's in as well. Mina says, I've ordered some of the butterfly and the charms are so tiny. These ones are a nice, good size. Obviously, I've told you the measurements of them, but if you can see it in regards to my hand, I know I have got quite long nails. If I had a coin, I'd put it next to it so you can see a little bit of perspective, but these are a nice size. But if you wanted, maybe, you could dangle, if you've got small butterfly charms, you could dangle one of them from this middle one. That'd look really cute. Good morning to Sheila. Hello to Kath. And Mina says, I love the dangles you've added to the charms. Well, they're really, really straightforward. So this is the red one, which I think is quite orange looking, and I think it looks beautiful with those tangerine pearls. So I'm going to demo that one, and I think I'm going to demo this one, I think, as well, so you can see the contrast. They're really, really easy to assemble. So you can see all I'm doing is just adding those different lengths of chain onto the back of a jump ring, attaching another jump ring with the enamel charm, so the charm sits at the front, and then attaching it to the U-wire, and then doing my little wrap loops at the bottom. So to begin with, I'm going to cut my lengths of chain. Now I'm using 3 pieces of chain per e-ring. I've got one which is slightly longer in the middle, and obviously if you get these kits, your chain is going to be the same as mine, so if you want to, you can work it out by a link, but I will give you the measurements as well. So on this one in the centre, I've made 26 links, which is about 5 centimetres in length, or about 2 inches. On the ones either side, which will be symmetrical, so this one and this one are going to be the same size, there are 17 links in that chain, which is about 3 centimetres or 1¼ inches if you prefer to work that way. Pauline says, I must have a large number of earrings too. I don't know, I've never counted. I couldn't tell you how many I've made, that's for sure. I think for Totally Beads alone, I've probably made thousands of pieces of jewellery. If you think, if I do on average 2 lives a week, every week, until we get to Christmas, and then we tend to do more, and then say each one, we'll do a conservative, well, there's 6 different colours in this one, I think, isn't there? So I'll make 6 pairs up for 1 live. I couldn't tell you how many pieces of jewellery I've done, which is possibly why my finger's been quite sore lately. I'm hoping I'm not getting a little bit of arthritis in it, but I have been making earrings. So these are your chain lengths, 26 links and 17 links, which is 3 centimetres or 1¼ inches, and 5 centimetres, which is about 2 inches. You can change this up and you can do whatever you want, but what I would suggest is whatever you put onto one earring, you put on the other to get that symmetry. So I'm just going to start off popping my wrap loops on, really, and then it's just a case of assembling them. So I'm going to use the same size bead and the same colour bead, which are my lovely glass pearls, and these are in the tangerine colour, and they're 3mm in size. And I'm also going to need 3 ball pins as well. So I've got a nice long pin here, which is going to enable me to do a nice secure wrap loop. And your wrap loops are very straightforward to do, but again, you can turn a loop if you want to. I'll just get those out of the way a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So to make a wrap loop, I'm going to need some round nose pliers, or you could use your bail step pliers if you prefer, and you're going to get exactly the same size loop each time. What you can do is you can also mark on your pliers with a pen, but I just tend to do it by eye. They always tend to come out roughly the same. And then you're going to need a pair of chain nose or tweezer nose pliers or something, just to bring that pin round. I am often guilty of doing it with my fingers, but use your tools, I'll make it nice and neat, and a little pair of cutters as well. So what I'm going to do to start off is I'm going to just slide one of my beautiful little 3mm pearls on the end of that pin. So I've used the ball pins because I really like the ball tip finish that you get with these. I'm then going to place the jaws of my plier. Now I'm holding it up this way just so you can see. Usually when I work this way down, but just so you can see here, I'm going to position my round nose pliers towards the end of this nice narrow tip where it tapers down, and I'm going to bend the pin over the top to whatever side. For me, I tend to come over to the right. I just feel that's more comfortable for me. So I'm taking the pin and position it in wherever I want that loop. Obviously, if I want a larger loop, I'm going to go towards the handle. If I want a smaller loop, I'm just going to come down to the end. And I'm going to have the pin in between the jaws of the plier here, and then I'm going to bend that over the top. So if you're doing this with the round nose pliers, you might need to be mindful of where about you positioning that pin. If you're using your bail step pliers, I would use the smallest step on the bail step, and I would use the space of the other jaw to kind of gauge where that is. Now, if I'm turning a loop, I want the loop to be, that bend, to be right up flush to that bead. If I'm doing a wrap loop, I want to have a little space between the bead and the bend, just so I can wrap that with the wire. So I've just bent it over the top of the pliers, and then I'm going to reposition my plier. So I know it looks a little bit fiddly because at the position I'm holding my hand in, but just so it's up to camera, my pliers are now going to still be over each side, on either side of that pin, but I've just turned it. So I'm not turning the pin, I'm just turning my hand to position it differently. And then I'm going to bring that part of the pin all the way round and then reposition it again so I can get that underneath. And then just going to knock it so it's in position. I want that pin to be directly, that loop rather, to be directly above that little ball pin and that bead. So I've swapped over to my less dominant hand, which is my left, and you'll notice I've knocked that slightly facing upwards. Now this has made the position of my loop kind of directly above that pearl. So it's not a P shape, it's sitting like an I, it's nice and flush on the top. But by lifting up this, when I wrap that around, it's going to be nice and flush to the top. But before I wrap it, always guilty of doing this with wrap loops, I just get into a little repetition. I want to attach my chain, so I'm just going to flick it up ever so slightly so there's a little gap in there. And then I'm going to take one of my pieces of chain that I've cut, and I'm going to attach that onto the last link of the chain into the loop. Now you can put your round nose pliers back in it, or you can hold over the top of the loop with a pair of, say, chain nose if you wanted to, like so. And that's going to close that loop up, but it's also going to give me a little bit of purchase. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tail end and I'm going to bring it all the way around, and I'm going to do like little half turns. And I'm just filling that space between the loop and the pearl. So I'm going to wrap about 2 or 3 times, just bringing that round the back and round the front, round the back and round the front, just to wrap that on so it's nice and secure. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with my cutters and I'm going to cut nice and close to that pearl. Sometimes I will give yourself a little purchase, something to purchase if it's easier by putting your pliers in. Sometimes I will lift that last wrap up slightly just so I can get my cutters in nice and close. I also sometimes tip it up a little bit just so I can get right in there. And keep hold of the end so it doesn't fire away. Now you can see I've got this, I'll put my pliers back in so you can see. I've got that little bit of pin, which is just ever so slightly sticking up. So with another pair of pliers, with my chain nose, or in this case I'm using my tweezer nose because I can get right in there, I'm just compressing that down, and I tend to give it a little kind of twist, and that's making sure that that wrap loop is fully tucked in. It's really important that when we're making our jewellery, it's safe and comfortable to wear. And if you're wearing earrings, you want to make sure there's nothing sharp that's gonna, catch in your hair or on your cheek or whatever. So I just gently run my finger over it just to make sure that that is nice and flush and there's no sharp bits. And then I'm just going to do that with my other 2 pieces of chain. So again, little pearl onto the end, positioning my round nose pliers in around the same point. So only maybe a millimetre or so up from the end, bending the pin over the top, repositioning my pliers and bringing that all the way round, reposition my hand again just so I can get that underneath, and then swapping to the other hand, making sure that my pearl is nice and neat on that drop. Come in with a pair of pliers, but before I do that, I'm going to attach it onto my chain. So you might just want to lift it up a little bit, just as if kind of like you were opening a jump ring, I suppose, just to loosen up, get a little tiny space between the loop so you can slide on the chain. It's usually when I'm doing rosary linking that I completely forget to add the next one on. So I'm just going to take my pliers again. You can bring that round with your finger if you want, but I do tend to find that if I keep my round nose pliers in, or I hold across, then I've got that purchase. Now what you can do is you can tilt it down, and then gravity is going to drop that bead to the bottom of your pin. So all I'm doing is just filling the space between the bead and the loop. And if I'm using the same point on my pliers, or if I'm using the bail step pliers, then I should have the same space in between each time, and I'm going to probably make around the same amount of wraps. So in this case, I'm only doing about 2.5 wraps, but 2 or 3 is perfectly fine. And then cutting up nice and close, just make sure that chain is out the way. Oh, I've frozen. Do bear with me, do apologise. Yeah, you just want to make sure that the chain is out the way when you do it, just so you aren't going to be cutting into the chain. Oh. There we go. Good morning, Zakia. How are you doing? She says, jolly good morning, Natalie, and hello to Anastasia as well. If you are just joining us, we are making the Tansy floral earrings today with some beautiful enamel charms. Really straightforward make to do. I'm just wrapping some loops to attach some dangles. So yeah, keep that chain out the way, nice and close. You can move that wire out a little bit on the pin, just so you can get nice and close to it. Trim off. And then of course we're going to be tucking in that little bit. So I just turn it round to the bit where it's sticking up, and then with a pair of pliers, but be careful not to knock that bead, but I tend to just tuck in, and I do give it a little bit of a twist. And hopefully you'll be able to see that last little bit there is now fully tucked in. So that is my longer length, which is 26 links, which is about 5 centimetres or 2 inches. And then my last one. Now I am slowing this down, but it is you get into a little repetition and a rhythm with it, where it's a nice and quick process. For a pair of earrings, you're only going to be making 6 of those little wrap loops. Don't worry if it's not completely level and flush, you can adjust that, but I like to turn it so my loop is sitting directly on the top, and that usually lifts that pin up as well. Opening up my link a little on the loop, taking the last link of the chain and sliding that on. You can then close that back down. And hold that with whichever you want. Just going to get my round nose back in. Let that chain dangle out the way. Struggling to focus because I'm so close to the screen. And then half wraps. So around the back, around the front. I want to keep those wraps nice and neat, close to each other, So I do think it just depends on like the angle in which I'm working, usually makes it a little bit neater. 2 to 3 wraps. Coming in to cut off nice and close. And either hold on to the chain where you just tuck that in. So now I've got my 3 dangles ready to go. It is just a case of assembling them. They are really, really straightforward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my small jump rings. They are all openable. They're not closed rings on this, I don't think. Let me just check. Yeah, none of them are closed rings. I'm going to just take one of the small ones, which is a 5x1 outer diameter, and I'm just going to assemble them together. So if I just take this one, you can see how I'm putting those. So the small jump ring I'm going to open, and I'm going to slide my chain on in this order. So I'm going to put one of the shorter lengths, which has 17 links on in the chain in this kit. And again, I'm going to make sure I'm just popping that on to the last link. And then going to take the longer length of chain, and I'm going to position that onto the middle. And then another shorter length of chain, which will be equal in size to the first one. And I'm just sliding those on there. And then I'm going to close that up, and I want to make sure it's fully closed. So I'm just making sure that that's nice and aligned. And if it's slightly staggered, then I'm just going to take it slightly past the point where the 2 ends meet and let that align and form fully closed. So I've now got my lovely little dangle. I'm now going to attach that on to a larger jump ring, which is the 6x1 outer diameter. I'm going to just attach on my chain link and my lovely flower charm, and then I'm going to attach that to another small one to go onto my earring hook. It's really, really that simple. So again, I'm going to take 2 pairs of pliers. Chain nose pliers, flat nose pliers will do. You just want to make sure that you've got a smooth inside to the whatever plier you're using. If you've got them with like the grips in, then it's going to mar your jump ring and your wire. So I'm going to slide this on first, and then I'm going to take my enamel charm and I'm going to pop it on through the loop on the back of the charm, and then I'm going to close that up. Again, making sure those 2 bits fully meet. Sorry to wobble the camera, I'm just checking that it's not going to go off. And then I'm going to take another one of my 5x1 jump rings, and I'm going to open that up like so. I'm going to take my ear wire, and you can either attach your ear wire to this, or you like now, or you can attach the ear wire on last. If I'm adding that extra little jump ring on, it's going to make sure that my earrings are going to be positioned forwards rather than wearing them to the side. I like my earrings to kind of face front. Now, the ear wires that I've got in this kit are these little kind of ball pinch ones. I really like using these when I'm using a ball pin, because I think it ties in really nicely, and it's basically like the same thing, it's just been hardened. So you could always make your ear wires with a ball pin in this design as well, which would be quite nice. But they're all exactly matching and lovely. Again, I've used the gold champagne colour findings because it's going to match the kind of outer edge and the back and the loop on that enamel charm. So where have I just put that small little jump ring just here, hanging off the top, I'm going to just place in my ear wire, and then very gently I'm just going to close that over. So I'm just letting that little ball, just the side of it, the tip of it, just touch onto the ear wire there. And then you will repeat that process. So you have 2 matching earrings. Now I'm going to put them in so you can see how they look in terms of the length and size. Again, if you wanted to make them smaller, then you can just adjust the length of the chain, or if you wanted to, I mean, you could do whatever you want, but that you could even make the length of the chain the same all the way across, or you could stagger it so you've got, say, like the smaller towards your face, and then it gets gradually longer on the way out. But if I can hold them up, and the light's not great in here today, they're just really cute. I'm going to be wearing these today. And they dangle, and that enamel finish is just going to catch the light beautifully. And I like a statement earring at the moment, I very much do. Given the fact that, you know, I've got plenty of time, I'm going to make another one for you, and I'm going to show you just how quick these are to make. So these are the Tansy Floral earrings. If you head over to the Totally Beads webpage, they're £2.50, and you can choose from blue, pink, purple, red, white and yellow. Now the ones I'm using now are the white ones, so they have that lovely yellow in the centre. The yellow ones have a white in the centre for that contrast. They'd look really cute actually if you wanted to mix them up. You could have mismatched ones. I think you'd get away with that with this design. So again, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take 3 of my pins, and I'm going to cut 3 lengths of my chain. One longer in the centre, which will have 26 links in this chain design that you'll get in your kit, which is about 5 centimetres or 2 inches, and then 2 slightly shorter pieces at 17 links, which is about 3 centimetres or 1¼ inches. Zakia says absolutely lovely earrings. I love the ball end headpins as well. Joanne says I really like the blue. They are all really sweet. I mean, personally, for £2.50, I'd want them in all colours. That's your purple. These are your blue, like a gorgeous cornflower blue. They've all got the little yellow centre on these ones. The pink, it's a very lovely light pink. Again, that's looking a little bit more white, but you can see the white in the centre of that, just to show the contrast. If I hold the pink up against the white, you should be able to see the difference there. Rachel says these are really sweet. Thank you. Sheila says they look lovely, Natalie. I have read that flower jewellery and dangle earrings are in for 2025, so we're both in on one ear. Yeah, there's lots of predicted fashion trends for this year. Chunky bangles seem to be in all the rage. Chunky chain type heavy kind of jewellery is also in. Dangly statement earrings, layered bead necklaces. There's lots of fashion trends, but you know, I believe in being a trendsetter. If you like something, you wear it. Mina says we need a bundle for this kit today. Well, we thought we'd let you choose which you prefer. Now, with the white charms, I have put the green beads with them just because I thought they'd be nice in white, but I just thought it'd nice little pop of colour, and you know, kind of echo that kind of theme in nature where you tend to have your lovely little daisy type tansy flowers popping up from the grass, or having a green stem and green leaves. Oh look, it's like the little singing flower in Alice in Wonderland. So again, I'm just going to make my wrapped loops really quickly, and I'm just going to position it in between the jaws of my plier, bend the pin over the top. I have put hand lotion on today, so I'm a little bit slippy. Reposition the pin just to get that loop nice and evenly on the top. Don't forget to attach it to your chain link before you fully secure it and wrap it. You could, if you wanted, open up the link on the chain, but you're always going to be at risk of, never joining that chain properly back, or weakening in it really. So you can use, if you've got a different chain that you'd prefer, then you can use a soldered linked chain with this, because I'm just creating those wrap loops. So a pair of pliers, bent that round, and it's come round the bottom too much, so I'm just going to readjust it. In fact, I'm going to swap. Where's my other pliers gone? I just want to make sure that that first wrap is sitting up close to that loop. Tilt it down, that'll keep your chain out the way, and it'll also make your bead drop towards the bottom. So you've just got to fill that little space. I'm going to swap over to my chain nose pliers, because they feel a little bit more comfortable and I can be a little bit more precise. So I'm just swapping that into my less dominant hand, and each time I bring that loop around the back and the front, I just want the last wrap to sit neatly underneath. Doing a quick rush job here. So the slower you go and the more you do, the neater you should be. Just making sure that I'm not cutting through anything other than that excess little bit of wire. And you can always neaten up your wrap with your pliers as well, just kind of compressing that down and pushing it in, checking that my loop is fairly neat on the top. And I'm going to do that to all 3 lengths of my chain. It's just bending it over the top of my pliers just to get that little bit of space between the pearl and the bead, the pearl or bead and the loop. I only need a small loop, but I want it to sit neatly on the top of my pin. Hi Lisa, don't worry, I'm making a fresh pair now, so you've not missed anything. It is a very, very quick make. These are the Tansy earrings. I'm just attaching a little bit of chain. Just going to close that back over from where I've lifted it up. Make sure I've still got that nice, neat loop. I'll pop my round nose. Now you can, if you wanted to, you could take a pair of pliers and hold over the top of the loop, just to hold it still, just to stop the loop from moving. But I tend to find if you could pop your round nose pliers back in, obviously you have got that chain in there now, but I do tend to find if I pop my round nose back in, the pliers don't get in the way. I'm just tilting it forward a little bit, just so I can keep hold of that chain out the way, and then letting that bead drop. So it's coming around the back, little half turns, around the front, around the back again. Just 2 to 3 wraps. And then make sure it's tucked in. If you cut nice and closely, then you shouldn't have much to tuck in. Just want to make sure there's nothing scratchy. And the last one. So you can make a lovely pair of earrings with just minimal materials really. And so I'm only using 6 beads for a pair of earrings. Don't forget, before you wrap it, to attach the last link of the chain on. So just give it a little flick up so I can get that chain in. Slide it round, close it back down again, swap into my less dominant hand, so I've got that little bit of purchase. Keep that chain kind of out the way. Just support it with your thumb and then bringing it round, behind and round, just to fill the space between the bead and the loop. Okay, so just attaching them together. Again, I'm going to take the smaller jump ring, which is a 5x1. Hi Anna, she's a bit late this morning. Hope everyone's well. These look lovely. Thank you so much. Really straightforward, quick and simple earrings to do. So again, I'm just going to make sure that I've laid out my chain in the order that I want to pop them onto the smaller jump ring. So the shorter length is going on by the last link. Then the middle one, which has 26 links. And then another of the shorter with 17 links. Making sure that they're all going on the last link of the chain. And closing that up. Making sure it's beautifully aligned. And then I'm going to take a large jump ring, which is my outer diameter 6x1. I'm going to open that up. I'm going to place the smaller jump ring with the chain onto that. I'm then going to add on my beautiful enamel flower. And I'm going to close that up. You can attach your smaller jump ring onto that as well if you want to. But I tend to do it in this order. And then opening up that smaller jump ring again. Really need to open it up a little bit. Attach that onto the jump ring and close that back over. So I'm just getting a little bit of purchase on each side, making sure it's fully closed and nicely aligned. And then my ear wire is just going to go through that jump ring, the smaller jump ring. And then I'm just closing this over so you can see there's a little bit of space between the ball and the ear tip. And you can really push that down if you wanted to have that sitting more forward. But as long as that's closed and with gravity, that's not going to come loose. And then there is my white pair done. So you can see they're very quick earrings to make. They're very lovely to wear. Oh, what's going on here? And I will put these ones in for you so you can see. Oh, I love them. They're going with my jumper. Even okay, swapping them out. So I've just added the little green 3mm glass pearls onto that. It's very, very sweet. I think for £2.50, you know, if you were to go to the high street and go into supermarket or whatever, you'd be paying way more than £2.50 for them. And it's only going to take you about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, if that, to make. If you want to, you can turn the loop on the bottom. Just think they're lovely. And that's that. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm going to do a little bit of housework, make more jewellery while rocking my daisy earrings. Thank you for being with me today. I'm going to be back with you on Monday. I think I'm making a bracelet with you on Monday. I think I've got lots of lovely shiny crystals. Lots of lovely makes to come. So please come and join me if you can. I hope you all have a very lovely week. I hope the sun comes out and shines for you all. Joanne says they really do go with your jumper. They do, don't they? It was like this morning when I was getting ready. I thought, what could I wear? But it's still a little bit cold, so I'm still in a jumper. I have got lots of floral tops, but yeah, might sit on the couch with me honey and lemon and just chill for a little bit. Have a lovely day. Thank you, Judith. She says they're lovely. Joanne says thank you. Have a wonderful day, everyone. I hope you all have a lovely, lovely week, and I will see